My name is Ayman Sareshwala, and I'm a student who has recently done his A levels in business, economics, and English. And I'm based in Dubai. Right now, I'm on my summer break, and I seek to use this time in a productive way in order to help all of you achieve your economic goals. So, for today's video, we are going to look over the IAL Edexcel Economics specification. Specifically, we're not going to look over the whole specification. We're just going to look over the year 12 content, AS level, the year 13 content, which is also known as A2 or A levels. We're going to look at that in another video. So let's get onto it right now. So first, I'm going to skip all of the stuff because this is not that relevant. We are going to go over to the assessment review, basically the content and assessment review. So first, we are going to look over the main two units in the A levels, which is year 12. So first is unit one, which is markets in action, and this is the content overview, which is introductory concepts, consumer behavior and demand, supply, price determination, market failure, and government intervention in markets. These all concepts basically, or this content basically is also done in GCSE as well. So if any of you here have taken GCSE economics, then you would find this very familiar because these all topics have been covered in the GCSE economics, in especially in the Edexcel board. It's basically just a detailed version of the GCSE content. And even if you have not taken GCSE economics, you will still find these concepts very easy, like supply, demand, price determination, market failure. And yeah, these are pretty simple topics, just more detailed, and you just have less time to cover them. Now let's move on to the assessment overview. So for both Unit 1 and Unit 2, the paper structure is the same. Only when you go to year 13, the paper structure is different. So for year 12, the paper structure is basically 6 MCQs in section A, which is 6 marks. Then in section B, there are 5 short answers, which are 4 marks each. So the total marks for section B is 20 marks. Then we go on to section C. So for section C, there is basically it's one case study, and there are 5 questions based on that case study. So there is a 2 marker, then there's a 4 marker, then there is a 6 marker, then there is a 8 marker, and there's a 14 marker, which all makes 34 marks. Then in section D, there is a 20 mark essay question, and you can choose between 2 questions. Then yeah, so that's basically it for unit 1. And keep in mind, unit 1 basically focuses on the free markets and markets as a whole. It does not do too much with government basically. It's basically to do with the free markets and the private sector in general. When we move on to unit 2, it is macroeconomics. Macroeconomics is basically to do with government how government policies influence the economy. Is basically to do more with the government side. It's also very simple. If you have taken GCSE economics, you would have learned about macroeconomics as well, because macroeconomics and microeconomics is separate in GCSE economics as well. So the content is also pretty straightforward. There's economic performance, aggregate demand, aggregate supply, national income, economic growth, macroeconomic objectives, and policies. So it is again pretty similar to the topics of Unit 1 actually, like demand and supply especially, but it's more towards to do in the global context and to do with countries in particular. And as you can see here, the assessment overview is also pretty similar. Same structure as well. For both the papers. And yeah, and like this is how much. So like basically for total grade, which is after year 12 and year 13, the unit 1 and unit 2 basically comprises 50% of your total grade for year 12 and year 13. Now this is all the unit 3 and unit 4 stuff, which we're not going to cover in today's video. So let's now go over the content in more detail for Unit 1 and Unit 2. So yeah, This is the unit one content basically. First is the nature of economics, which is basically there are many questions on this topic in the past papers, if I'm being honest. But this is basically a good topic for you to understand economics better. So in this, there's economic and social science. Then there's development of models in economic based on assumption. Ceteris paribus, which is when one variable affects, yeah, it's basically to do with variables. Then there are even positive and normative economics as well. So it's basically to do with again the type of economics as well, how studies of economics are done. Again, this is not a very important topic like for in which like you will be assessed on in the exam, but it's a good topic to understand more knowledge of economics and to basically be more well versed in the economic subject in general. Then you have the problem of scarcity, which is basically unlimited wants and finite resources, and you have opportunity cost, which again is things that have been learned in GCSE as well. Then production possibly frontiers, I'm sure many of you have learned in your GCSE economics. If you have not, don't worry, it's very simple, you can easily grasp it. Then there is specialization and role of money and financial markets is also a pretty easy topic. Division of labor. I'm sure many of you who have taken GCSE economics and even GCSE business have learned of this topic. Then there's free market, mix and command economics. Again, easy. Free market is basically it's basically economics that are determined by the market forces of demand and supply. Mixed economics is basically a mix of government intervention and the free market forces, while command economics is when resources are allocated by the state, in particular by the government. Then we have consumer behavior and demand, basically, demand, supply, price elasticity, demand. Again, concepts that learn in GCSE. This is also easy. It's not that difficult to grasp as well. Then we have to do with the again price elasticity demand, like cross elasticity demand as well, which is a bit different than price elasticity demand, and it might have not been learned in GCSE, but still easy to understand. And I'm sure that once you go more detailed into it, you will definitely understand. I'll cover it in a separate video as well, the individual topics as well, if you guys would like it. Then we have supply as well, supply price and supply. Again, GCSE stuff. It's just more in detail. AS levels is basically the same thing as GCSE, but it's just more in detail and more elaboration basically. But if you like GCSE economics, you will definitely love ES level economics, and it won't be too hard for you. Then you have price determination of consumer, producer surplus, indirect taxes, subsidies, which is again easy as well. So in this, graphs are very important. I forgot to mention in unit one, especially graphs. There are a lot of graphs. You need to understand. They're pretty straightforward, like supply demand, but you still need graphs definitely. So if you don't like graphs, then maybe economics might not be the subject for you. Just saying. So let's go now to the so now it's market failure. Market failure, another topic that you might have briefly touched on CSE, but again, here it's more in detail. There's more emphasis on positive, negative externalities. There's even a diagram as well. There is what the sources of market failure, why market failure occurs. So there's all these technicalities as well. Then we have, yeah, speculation as well. Then we have government intervention. Government intervention is also in unit one and in unit two as well. Even though it might be more in alignment with unit two, but in unit one, government intervention is also included as well. So we have yeah, again, what is the different ways government intervene? What is the context which government may intervene in? Government failure, causes of government failure, which is again easy. It's not tough. It's just basically a lot of theory which you have to memorize. But if you have the proper resources, you can definitely easily grasp these topics and the main pointers. So now let's go towards the unit two content. In the unit two, first we have economic growth. Economic growth is easy. Economic growth is basically the increase in the output of the economy. That's what economic growth is in simple terms. Of course, you don't need to know only that. You need to know a lot. You need to know GDP. You need to know the purchasing power parities. But once you understand the simple definition of economic growth, all of the other concepts are very easy to grasp. Then we have inflation. Inflation is also a term which a lot of us have heard of, but most of us might not go a lot of detail into it. Many of you might have also come across inflation or GCSE economics as well. But again, in AS, it's explained in a lot more detail. and with a lot more precision as well. But it should not be that difficult. Don't let the complicated words scare you, like CPI and all. They are actually very easy concepts, and once you dive more in these topics, you will easily understand them. Then let's go. So like again, same measures of economic performance basically. So inflation again, continue this. Then is employment, unemployment, which again stuff you might have covered in your GCSE as well, which is also not difficult. It is also easy. Then there's balance of payments. Balance of payments also an easy topic as well. Then there's aggregate demand as well. So here are the characteristics of aggregate demand. There's consumption. There is investment. There is government expenditure. There is net trade balance. Aggregate demand is actually different than the demand you would have learned in unit one. So this is a bit of a different concept, but it's related at the same time as well. So now let's move on to the aggregate supply part. So again, aggregate supply also should not be too tough. It's again basically the total amount of supply or total amount of goods or services that suppliers are willing to offer in the economy. That's what it is in simple terms. Of course, there's a lot of more detail to it. The factors there are, then there's the different curves as well, different graphs as well. But don't let this technicality scare you, because as you go more in the topic, as you understand them, they will soon be more simpler to you, and you will soon eventually love economics as well. Then after that we have national income. National income is also an simple topic, I would say. Of course, it's again a bit more. You have to memorize a lot of formulas. You have to memorize a bit of diagrams. But once you again understand the basics of it, you will again you it'll be very easy for you to understand again the rest of the technicalities, the rest of the graphs, and you'll be able to easily grasp it. Then let's go over to economic growth. Again, this is a more I know you might have seen that the economic growth was already previously covered in measures of economic performance, but this is a more detailed aspect of it. But it's again the same thing. It's very simple. This is actually not even a graphical topic. It's mostly a theoretical topic. So here there is causes of growth basically. Just there's the benefits of growth, which is easy, which is really easy. Like I always say, like economic growth means more higher living standards, lower unemployment, increased profits. But cost of growth is also easy. There's inflation, then there's increase in inequality, there's opportunity cost, environmental cost. Again, this is a very self-explanatory topic. I feel it's one of the easiest topics. If I'm being honest, it's really easy. Then there's output gas. Output gas is also again easy. It's not difficult once you understand. Again, don't let the scary words scare you. It's actually not that tough. It's actually a simple concept. So I'll just explain in brief. Output gap is basically the difference between the actual output in the economy and the potential output in the economy, basically how much that economy can produce at maximum potential. Then there's again the macroeconomic objectives. So macroeconomic objectives are again like related to measures of economic performance. Basically, it's related to having a good economic growth. It's related to having a balance of payments and equilibrium, and having a good budget, having low unemployment, stable inflation, greater income equality. So this is also easy. Then there's a conflict as well, because if you achieve one macroeconomic objective, you might not be able to achieve another. So there is conflicts basically. So this is also again, these are more theory topics, and I'm sure these are very easy for you to understand. If you like to memorize notes, if you like to memorize advantage disadvantages, these topics are really going to be good and easy for you. Then let's go now down to the so now again this is continuing. This is demand side, supply side policies. That is also something you might have briefly touched in GCSE, fiscal monetary policy. So it is supply side policy. So it's related to that, and I guess you will again be able to understand it as well. I'm sure. Like if you like GCSE economics, and if you understand stood the macro, if you like the macroeconomics part of GCSE economics, I'm sure you will like unit 2 as well of year 12. Yeah. So now let's go down and see if anything is there. So this is unit 3. I'm not going to cover this today. I would like to cover it tomorrow or some other day. Then so I think for now, let me see if I'm missing anything. So for now, I think that's it actually. Yeah, like that's it basically. That's the specification overview. If you would like to see what you say, more content like this, more specification overviews, possibly for other subjects as well, like business, then please let me know as well. And yeah, also let me know down in the comments what kind of videos you would like to see as well, whether you would like to see more past paper reviews, or you would like to see maybe more detailed topics, like detailed overviews of specific topics like economic growth, inflation. Please let me know in the comments. And yeah, it was great presenting the specification, and I hope to see all of you soon.